So if you have not watched my previous video on AI overview, if I start talking about things you don't understand or words you haven't heard, go watch that video. It may help, it may not. Um, but now we're going to work with AI inside of the Ascent Combat Framework. So again, we got a piece of AI in the map. We want to go ahead and look at how he's built. He is, when he spawns in, he should have a controller of ACF AI controller BP. So if we find that, we can see that that is in the plugin folder of the plugin. So we definitely don't want to go making any changes to this because unless you want them to be universal on every project you ever do again, if you make these changes here, everywhere you use the plugin, it'll be used. So what we want to do is something I've already done from my screw up video from this morning, which I may leave up as a blooper reel. It's fine. Um, is we're going to want to make a controller. Well, I already made the controller, and it's parented to the AI melee controller. So it's going to behave pretty much the way we want it to. It's going to do everything that the parent does because we're not overriding any events. We're just letting that all filter through. The real reason we want this is because we want to mess with the behavior component or the combat behavior component. So combat behavior component has a couple pieces to it. The first half is the combat config. This is going to tell us what type of combat it's capable of, melee or ranged. What are the different combat states? Melee, melee post attacks, ranged attacks, study the target, or flee away. Minimum melee combo attacks and maximum melee combo attacks. If you have a if you have a montage, that's the word I'm looking for. Um, um, then and let's just say it has 4 combo attacks in it. You can control, well, I don't want it to play all 4. We're going to stop at 2. Needs weapon. Well, that tells it that it needs to equip its weapons before it can engage in combat. And then it assigns the actions for each equip type so that the animation blueprint can play the right animation for equipping. Um, so next we're going to get into allowed behaviors. Well, at most you could have a melee and add a ranged as well. Um, I'm not going to do that at this time, but you could. So then we also have combat states and what combat states means. So when it's melee attacking, it wants to be within 120 units of the target. And it also has a 100% chance of triggering the melee attack, and it will move itself into a walking state. So then, after the melee attack exits, it's going to execute the post attack. And it looks like its ideal distance is still at 120, and it's only got a 90% chance of executing. Um, so, and then of course its movement type is going to be walk. And then study target. Study target has a range of 500, so it has to see you. And then 75% of the time it's going to do whatever you've told it to do. So, what do I mean by where you tell it what to do? So, under the combat states, there is a combat config actions. And what this is a list of actions that can be done when in each state. So when we're in melee post attacks, um, the AI can perform a taunt. Now it can only do it 75% of the time, but we know that because it's in the melee post attack. And it has a low priority, which means if something with a higher priority hits the animation blueprint, then this gets aborted and that higher execution priority gets executed. So that's a key to understanding how to interrupt your own animations in ACF, you can choose the priority to make something higher priority and show up higher in the stack. So next we're going to look at study target. What does study target do? Study target is going to perform a block, probably because that's what it's set to. Um, and it's only going to do it 80% of the time. And then during melee attacks, we've got two possible actions. We've got a heavy attack, which it's only going to do 35% of the time and only in front. And we also have an attack. Um, Keep in mind, these actions will 100% translate into either our common actions or our moveset actions based on what item is equipped. The AI gets its animation the same way the player does in ACF. So what that means is if you're using a single sword on your player, you have You have two options. You have attack and heavy attack. Well, if you give the single-handed sword to the AI, it too is going to have an attack and a heavy attack. So this could be a good place if you want your AI actions to not mimic yours. Then you'll either have to give them different tags, and you can have 50 different move sets in here. Or what you could do is you could copy this anim instance a couple times over and make it for AI or specific AI. It just really depends on how clean you want it to be. Sorry, I was interrupted momentarily by a 6-year-old. Um, so the big key there is your AI and your player can share the same animation blueprint, or you can make them separate. You know, the beauty of it is I could go in and add a moveset.ai.single-handed sword and create that as a new element in this blueprint and use it the same all across the board and trigger things more uniquely. But more importantly, we are triggering on action, attack, and actions heavy attack. So as we go back to our AI controller here, we can um, we can see that when it melee attacks, it's going to set those gameplay tags so that the AI can respond accordingly. So, um, hit response channels. 10% of the time, the AI is going to dodge when it's a frontal attack. That means it's the response to the hit. So, um, so basically that's how it can respond to a hit. So our last one's going to be action by condition. So what we have is if the action distance is below 0, which apparently means never, um, right now, because obviously it's set to 0, it'll never be below 0, it'll do a jump attack. Well, we know that action isn't implemented. So what we're going to do is we're going to do something to show you this all the way through. We're going to create a action to assign our character um, to our AI um, to respond. So we're going to do it by condition. So we're going to create a new action by condition. Hello, stop being weirdo. So what kind of condition are we going to do? Well, we've got a couple already pre-built in here. It looks like you could override this and make your own as well. I have not explored it because I haven't explored what's here to determine if I need to. Um, so we are going to do a statistic action condition. We want it from every direction, and we are going to tag the AI as knocked out. And it has a 100% chance of firing. So now let's go look at our action config. Okay, so we want to do this when our health, so when the AI's health is below 200, we are going to tell it to be um, um, knocked out. So what do we need to do to make that happen? Well, to make that happen, we want this to happen no matter what move set is equipped. So we're going to go ahead and put this in the common actions. And we're going to scroll through to make sure it doesn't already exist. It doesn't. And so again, the action we're going to choose is action knocked out. And we're going to cheat. We're going to use the taunt action because I know this works. I'm totally cheating. It looks like you could do some threat mechanics there. And we are going to go to set the montage that it's going to play. So theoretically, again, um, we in our behavior combat component on our AI controller, we put a condition that says when the health is below 200, go ahead and tag it as knocked out, which means that the AI is going to get knocked out or play the knocked out action when that tag is set. So now what we're going to do is we're going to double check one more thing. We're going to make sure that we are spawning in with my AI controller. We're going to compile, we're going to save, and we're going to play, and we're going to go see if we can just knock a guy out. So we target him. Oof. Oof. Oh. Oh, look, and now he's knocked out doing Gangnam Style. Now, now I can kill him because he was just knocked out. Okay, so, sweet, we just told our AI to do something because we took it below 200 health. Now, let's go ahead and make this a little bit more real of a sample. What we really want to do is, instead of doing Gangnam Style, as much as I really want to, what we're really going to do is we're going to tell the AI to go ahead and use an item. So we're going to go ahead and trigger use item. Now what that's going to do is now I don't need Gangnam Style anymore. It's going to trigger the use item action, which the use item action has its own configurable variables for it. It's going to use what's in the consumable slot 1. So now what this really means, again, we didn't change anything else. We're still, when health is below 200, we want to use the item. So if you want your AI to be able to maybe use a health potion, you could definitely do that. And now because well, I screwed it up because I went way too fast. I interrupted him. So theoretically, I get all jumpy because he can hit me harder. Well, he can hit me, and I'm trying not to hit him too hard. So now he's going to drink his health potion and heal up. And now that he's below 200 again, he's going to do it again. And I believe he only starts with 2, so he's going to go to use his item and not have any. So you can see how you can kind of chain your AI's behavior together based off of conditions and things of that nature to make your AI feel a little bit more complete and a little bit harder to kill. So if anybody has any questions, hop on over to the Discord. I'll try to answer them as best as I can. And as I refine AI is a pretty big topic, especially in ACF. So I will be doing more videos in the coming days. But I wanted to give everybody just kind of a look down at how it works and how you can do some simple addition and modification to that. So, as is everything with ACF, it's really just kind of up to how you want to implement it. Um, so, thanks for watching. Shoot me a follow or a subscribe, and we'll see you again. Thanks for hanging out.